Hello everyone, I am Duke James, this is Meiou and Taxes. So in the last video we looked at some of the changes in the new alpha compared to the last campaign. In this episode we're going to actually look at Fez, our country. At least a top level view. I probably won't get into the nitty gritty of the actual provinces until the next episode because there's a lot to cover now. So our ruler is Sultan Abu Inan Faris Imranin. We are the Imranin dynasty. In 1357, our ruler is a 355. And he is proud, which gives yearly prestige plus 0.1, improved relations negative 20%, liberty desire plus 10%. Fez. I was going to play Fez a while ago, before I played my Castile campaign, so I have a little bit of knowledge about Fez, from what I can remember. They are a very unstable country. I think they're a little bit more stable now, just because there's more things you can do with the estates to get national unrest down, but pretty much before 3.0 they would always collapse, and they would be replaced by Morocco, because I remember there's an event where Morocco like takes half your territory or something. They just pop out of nowhere. But our country modifiers, part of the reason why we are so unstable is because of political anarchy right here, which gives national unrest plus 15, which is a lot of national unrest. And that expires in about 10 years, really. So we're going to have that for a while. Then there's also disloyal realm. So if political anarchy plus 15 national unrest wasn't bad enough, we also have disloyal realm, which gives stability increase interval plus 50%. Fort defense negative 80%. So definitely don't want to fight any wars until this is over in 10 years. Because the fort defense in our capital, which is in Highlands, which gives plus 25% fort defense, is negative 34%. So, these forts would fall pretty quickly. Marrakesh's fort defense is negative 46. So you definitely don't want to do any wars until that is gone, especially with the unrest. Admin tech, I think that's basic. We don't really have any text. We start with strict regimen. So that's actually pretty good. That gives discipline plus 6%, which is the highest thing. So you pretty much use this to fight your rebels if you can't get rid of them. So that is a good thing for our country. Executive authority, ruler impacts 60%, so we're more towards ruler authority versus institutional authority. Executive power 72% authority. Power void 7.7. I think all this stuff mostly just affects our monarch power. Which is 355 anyway. I think we are able to pick our rulers, so we can pretty much have a 355 every single time if we pick the correct one. The factions, nobody hates anyone else yet. Privileged desires, nobody desires anything. They're all decreasing right now, at least. Advisors, I have no idea what this is. Advisor test. That might just not have filled in yet. Tunis and Tlemcen are our rivals. I think they nerfed those two countries because they took territories away from them. Because I know there was some uncolonized provinces, but I think Tlemcen, at least Tlemcen, had more territories than 2, 4, 6, 7. And Tunis seems smaller as well. I thought there was 2 over here and none over here, so I think they took 2 from Tlemcen and 2 from Tunis, although I'm not 100% sure on that. It just looks that way. They might have just made the provinces smaller. We make 5 ducats right now. That's going to shrink, because our local autonomy is horrible. So yeah, that's going to go away fairly quickly. We start with admin tech. All of our techs are 5. We have not embraced legalism, so I'll go ahead and do that for 3.4 ducats. It reduces our tech cost by 400%. So if I wanted to get a level of admin tech, it would take 2100 power without legalism. Let's go ahead and take that. That reduces it down to a normal level of 500. Fez starts with aristocracy and diplomacy. I don't like either of these, really. I don't think I'm going to be playing a diplomacy game as Fez. Although I will have colonies, so it could come in handy with the colonies, but I don't think... This doesn't decrease... Yeah, it doesn't decrease the cost to annex. So I'm not sure I'm going to keep this. Claim duration plus 20%, improve relations plus 20%, diplomatic advisor cost negative 15%, envoy travel time. The +1 diplomatic relation is nice. Diplomatic reputation plus 2 is nice. An extra diplomat is nice. Justified demands, province war score cost. Those are pretty good. I don't know if it's worth keeping overall for those things, though, if I'm not going to have a ton of vassals. And then aristocracy, like in my Hungary campaign, I think that makes the nobles a little bit more powerful than I want them to be. Because of that aristocratic influence plus 0.1. So I might dump this one as well. Probably keep it, though, at least for the early game, because you can use that cavalry shock, yearly armor tradition decay. Manpower recovery speed would be nice if I'm dealing with rebels. Some yearly legitimacy. I mean, it's finished, so I might as well keep it for a little bit anyway. Our missions. Subjugate Tuscany, conquer France is one of them. Yeah, I think these missions deal with conquering... They're like Al-Andalus, which I'm probably not going to follow, but I will conquer North Africa, so I'll do any of those, and Africa in general. Policies, let's go ahead and do centralizing, and then take some national unrest. Definitely need that, because our national unrest is 17.74 right now. So that is 6 rebels, 6 rebellions ready to eventually pop, and one of them is 23,000, so I definitely want to get that down. I have 12,000 troops right now, so... Force limit 18, that should drop a lot as our autonomy increases. Negative 59% fort defense. The bureaucrats hate us, and that is because of corruption. We have 75% provincial corruption. That is a massive amount of provincial corruption, and that is because of the autonomy. The nobility, we could reduce the nobility. Pretty much getting these guys to like you will reduce the sources of corruption. We're still going to have a source multiplier in the high 1.x's, so that might reduce... I'm going to try to reduce autonomy. That's going to be a huge thing to reduce corruption, get this down to a manageable level, because we make 221 ducats in revenue right now, and 113 of that goes to corruption. So more than half of our revenue goes towards corruption, is lost to corruption. So yeah, that's pretty bad. That's what's going to kill us in the early game. So a lot of the early game is going to be killing rebels and trying to fight these guys to reduce corruption and increase our revenues. Looking at these guys, it looks like the burghers have 16% power. They make close to 1,000 ducats. They have about 28% of the share of urban property, pretty much no rural property. clans, pretty sure the clans still get their money from loot. So they can't own property, as far as I know, and they don't make anything because they don't own property, so they get their money from loot. They have 14,000 ducats, power 24%. Not a whole lot there, really. The clergy make about 400 ducats, 28% power. That's actually a pretty weak clergy compared to other nations in Europe. I don't know if most Islamic nations have low power clergy, but most Catholic nations have clergy in the 50s or upwards. So that's actually relatively low compared to those guys. They own about 8.5% share of land and 22% share of property, mostly academic. Not too unmanageable clergy. Should be able to weaken those guys pretty quickly. The nobility make 1,300 ducats. They have about 14,000 ducats, 73% power. That is a lot of power to the nobility. I think even Hungary was only in the low 60s, mid 60s. So that's actually more than Hungary. So the nobles are in pretty much complete control of our country. They own 60% of land, 54% of the farmland, 21% of the mines, 35% of forestries, and 37% fisheries, and 14% of the share of property, commercial and industrial property mostly, tiny little bit of academic property. Alright, and the last thing to finish up with is the North African ideas, because I actually glanced over these, so let's go ahead and look at those. Our familial system is endogamous communitarian family. I'm not going to read all that. Hostile attrition plus 1%, monthly war exhaustion negative 0.01, global spy defense plus 10%, nationalism negative 5, stability increase threshold plus 15%, global institution spread negative 10%. Our bonus idea is defend against south trait, fort defense 2.5%. Seems like a tiny little amount right there. Berber geography, hostile core creation costs on us, plus 30%. Absolutely worthless. Trans-Saharan trade Berber, trade power abroad, plus 10%, trade range 25%, caravan power, plus 15%. That's not bad, particularly. Trade power abroad, caravan power, plus 15%. I'm sure to be a sea empire, so that should help with the couple nodes in Africa, at least. Berber Corsairs, galley cost negative 5%, galley combat ability plus 5%, privateer efficiency plus 30%, chance to capture enemy ships plus 25%. So, privateer efficiency plus 30%. I think if you stack that with one of the flagship ideas, that might be good, although you do get less money now from trade nodes, so that might be actually not something that I would want to pursue, just because it's a lot less money than before. And I think before it was even not a whole lot of money. I'll see about that. I don't own any light ships right now anyway. My naval force limit is 3. Yeah, so this is really confusing. So in my Hungary campaign, I thought these 3, familial estates, the stats, and then from 14 provinces, I thought those were added together, but that bottom one from 14 provinces actually just adds the top together, which is really confusing, because I would think that I'm supposed to have 6.1 force limit, because you add all that up, or 6.2, you add all that up, but I'm pretty sure the bottom one just adds up the top, which I don't know why that from 14 provinces is there if that's the case, because that just makes it extremely confusing. But anyway, it's good to know that that isn't how that's supposed to be. We have Tuareg cavalry, cavalry combat ability plus 5%. We have a lot of cav combat bonuses, but our cavalry to infantry ratio is still 50%, so we have the cav cost from aristocracy, cav shock 0.5, and then the Cav combat ability, plus 5% from that idea. So Cav is probably definitely something that we want to do, especially when it doesn't cost more than infantry, and we'll want to load up on that. And then we have Berber Cities, National Unrest -1, National Garrison Growth plus 10%. National Unrest is good. 1 is nothing to write home about, though, but it's something. Overall, not really great ideas, but you can work with them. Mostly because I have to. It's like these, the Iberian powers get way better ideas. Like Portugal, they get discipline 2.5%, morale of armies, yearly army tradition decay, morale of navies, naval leaders shock, missionary strength, material cost for projects -10%, rural production efficiency 2.5%, trade power abroad, they get that same trade power abroad, trade range plus 50%, naval combat bonus off owned coast plus 0.15, so I definitely don't want to fight Portugal on their own coasts, on their own coastline. Way better than ours. But we're stuck with ours, so we'll just have to make do with them. So I'm going to end this part here. That was a top-level view of our country. In the next episode, I will go into the nitty-gritty of the provinces, what we're working with in terms of resources, and go from there. So thanks for watching, and goodbye.